Welcome back. Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ASEP, Bemboache, is raising concerns about the non-availability of avenues to cater for significant consumption of gas to be produced ahead of the commercial production of the Sankofa field next week. Speaking to Joy Business on the sidelines of a stakeholder engagement on petroleum contracting and petroleum revenue management in Ghana, Bemboache advocated the extension of gas pipelines to deal with the excess production of gas to be produced.
No, ordinarily it should be good news because they're going to push a lot of gas into Ghana, which would be good for power generation and also for industry. But we are a bit worried because we haven't seen progress, to consume the power or to coincide with the production of gas, because we expected car power to move to the Western Basin to consume the gas. It hasn't happened. The infrastructure to make that happen doesn't exist. So we don't know what plans government has to actually make use of the gas. But the danger is that if we get a gas and we don't use it, we're still going to pay for it because it's a take-or-pay agreement. So that is a risk to government. So immediately we need to find a way to use the gas. Other than that, we're going to have to pay for gas that is not available.
How best do you think we could strike a good deal?
No, I mean, the deal is done. All you need is to use the gas and pay for it. So we have to make the systems in place to be able to utilize the gas. They are constructing a pipeline to be able to reverse the gas to the east so that the pipelines that are probably stranded in the eastern corridor can have access to the gas. But my worry really is between 26th of this month, when gas starts operating, at the time when this construction works to make gas usable.
Turning to other news tonight, businesses in some flood-prone areas were not badly affected by last night's heavy downpour as compared to previous years. Now, some of the areas like the Graphic Road here in Accra had in the past struggled with flooding, forcing the insurance companies to flag those areas as high-risk zones. Joy Business's Ebenezer Sabote was in town today. He joins me in the studio with more of what he saw. So where did you go and what did you see, Eben?
Okay, Daryl, first of all, I went to Kanda, the highway area, and in some parts of Nima, looking at how businesses are affected by the flood last night. We all know that anytime it rains, and especially when it's heavy downpour, I mean, some businesses get affected with the flood and all that. And then the highest point was the Graphic Road, which was also my last point. I mean, I went to the Honda Place area, and then the Rana Motors, and then Toyota company, and we all know Toyota and Rana Motors, they share the same wall. So at Toyota, what we found out was that the fire service have their machine there doing some work there. So we decided to get close to find out what was happening. Even though they didn't want to speak with us on record, our observation indicates that water entered their premises, so the firemen were using some mechanism of their water to clear the wastewater that entered the premises and also to wash the areas where the water affected. But it wasn't that huge, and we spoke to the general manager off record, who indicated to us that there hasn't been any big damage. But
did he indicate that there has been some kind of work done over there to ensure that the incidence of flooding is minimized?
Yes, he told me that previously we all knew that there were some problems. So after those incidents, they decided to, take measures to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And he's sure that it's because of that this year they've not been affected that much.
But last night's downpour is bringing up a very important conversation about insurance. You went onto the streets, you spoke to people as whether or not their properties were insured.
Yeah.
What did they tell you?
I think when you come to Ghana insurance, our perception remains the same. It was a mixed reaction, and I would like us to listen to the people that I interviewed, their reaction about insurance and all that. Let's listen to them.
Do insurance. If they come to us, we will do insurance. Why not? as a human being, you have to even insure yourself because you don't know tomorrow.
No. For here, our job is just blah, blah, blah. Yeah, hand-to-mouth work we have been doing here. You have no any insurance over here.
No insurance na tamuso na bia bibi to na ko omu fiu ano ni asem why be that my be that omu fiu enti say no insurance ni anji omundi.
Yes, it's good to insure your property here because they have the saying who knows tomorrow, so nobody knows tomorrow. And looking at the flood in Ghana nowadays, I think if you have a company or a property, and you have the money, try as much as possible to find or identify the right insurance company and register with them.
All right, so Eben Sabote interacting with those people there, and it's important to point out that you have to insure your properties.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I took the opportunity to advise some of them that insurance is very important and it's time they do that now.
Yeah. Very important during these times. Thank you very much, Eben Sabote, with the latest on the flooding situation in town. Let's move on to other stories. Tonight, Cabinet is considering fresh revenue measures proposed by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, for the mid-year review. Now, sources say these measures will look at some innovative strategies that would help deal with the current revenue challenges. According to the Finance Ministry, the presentation by Ken Ofori-Atta should be done before the last week of next month. There's more in the following report.
The Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta earlier this year confirmed to Joy Business that the review of the 2018 budget, or call it the mid-year review, would come with a revision to the revenue estimates as well as measures. However, it is not clear for now those actual measures that the Finance Minister has presented to Cabinet for consideration and whether some of these taxes would be increased or government would still focus on expanding the tax net. Sources, however, say there might not be any major changes to the current policies being implemented by government, but rather a normal review of the estimates that was announced in the 2018 budget. The mid-year review is part of the country's financial laws, which allows the Finance Minister to review some estimates and policy measures announced in the budget for that year.
Now, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has signed an MOU with Israel for the training of some 50 Ghanaian agric students in Israel as a means to improve vegetable production for export. The Technology Exchange Program will offer training to the students in modern agriculture practices, especially in the area of greenhouse vegetable production. In an interview after the signing of the MOU today in Accra, the Minister for Agriculture, Dr. Osefri Akoto, noted the initiative is part of his outfit's plans to make Ghana a leader in vegetable export.
We are sending Ghanaian students who have been, they are not students anymore. They are graduates and diplomas that we've taken on for a very intensive 3 months training in greenhouse technology. And from there, they go to Israel for 11 months to be attached to greenhouse farms, to learn, to actually have hands-on. So they come out 11 months being complete farmers, and the government of Ghana, through my ministry, is going to help them to settle as business farmers, where the production of vegetables will be something that they will do to grow their businesses so that we can increase our exports of these vegetables to match or even exceed our proceeds from cocoa. We have such huge potential, and through the concept of these greenhouse villages, as I spoke to you in my address, I spoke about greenhouse villages. 3 of them, one in Akumadan, one in Kaswa area, and the other which is actually running and training at the moment. This is what is going to be the nucleus of a new concept coming to Ghana to develop our vegetable industry.
In other news tonight, network services provider GCNet has made a presentation of 8 million Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Finance as the second tranche of dividend payment from its operations in 2017. This amounts to 17 million cedis for the year 2017 as government share of the company's entire profit after tax. Executive Chairman of GCNet, Dr. Omar Bonote, addressing the media after a short ceremony to present the check, described the achievement as a very impressive one, considering its high operational cost for the year 2017. According to him, the company is poised to do more to ensure that government meets its revenue targets.
From the results of 2017, today we presented a final dividend to government in the amount of 8 million Ghana cedis. This was the second payment for the 2017 year. Earlier in 2017, we had paid a dividend of 9 million Ghana cedis to government, and therefore with this final dividend, the total for 2017 amounts to 17 million Ghana cedis. GCNet has been a consistent payer of dividends to government. We have a dividend policy established by the government, and this is respected in detail by the company. As you know, the company supports government in revenue mobilization, and we deploy a number of systems used by the Revenue Authority, the Registrar General's Department, various stakeholders, the clearing agents, freight forwarders, etc., to expedite the clearance of their goods through the ports, thereby facilitating trade, but at the same time paying to government the revenues that are due to it. We also deploy a system for domestic tax collection, and so for your VAT, for corporate tax, for personal income tax, we have a system that is deployed also by GCNet.
Meanwhile, through the effort of GCNet, 1 million people were registered under the Tax Identification Number program by the Ghana Revenue Authority. The GRA has issued notice to all citizens to get their TIN before they can get access to any public service, a development intended to drive tax collection in the country. According to the Executive Chairman of GCNet, Dr. Omar Bonote, the number of registration recorded last year is expected to increase as a result of this new directive.
One notable feature which we outlined to the minister was the fact that in November we recorded the highest TIN registration, in the history of this country, a million TIN registered, and barely a month or so ago this figure increased by 50% to about 1.5 million. We anticipate that it will increase further as the government has now come out with some clear guidelines on what services one can use with or without a TIN number, and so the drive for TIN registration, which will also kick in to enhance revenue, is way on, and we are glad to be supporting the process. So not only are we directly involved in revenue mobilization, but also as a company, we do pay our taxes to government. We do not enjoy any special waivers on corporate tax or any exemption. We pay our VATs, we pay our domestic taxes, corporate taxes, and we are extremely compliant as a company.
The Finance Ministry says government is working on reviewing some tax exemptions it has granted businesses. This follows calls by the Ghana Union of Traders Association GUTA for some tax reliefs. According to the association, this has become necessary to improve the operations. But a Deputy Minister of Finance, Kweku Kwarteng, says government has exhausted all available tax exemptions, and as a result, it would rather substitute existing exemptions with the present ones.
The CET, there is allowance for any country to look at those imports that are critical and to vary And to vary that, we did something for our friends at Abosokai and the spare parts. We have done something for raw materials, for production of medicine. So we have almost exhausted the quota. But the policy guidance we have from our Honorable Minister and government is that we take a second look at the range of exemptions that we have granted under the CET, and to see which ones we can begin to switch. So that discussion we will have with you. We of course, we will look at it ourselves. We will look at those exemptions that we have given, but which importers have really not even taken advantage of. Then you know those ones perhaps are not helping us achieve the objectives of those interventions. So we'll do that kind of work and free up space to deal with the electrical problems Mr. President spoke about and some of the issues you have mentioned. But once we have finished with those preparatory works, we will have a discussion with you, and then we can decide on what to swap and how to do that.
Meanwhile, GUTA is pushing for fixed rates at the country's ports for businesses. According to the union, the practice where rates change every day due to the depreciating cedi is not helping. President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, made the call when Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, together with his team, interacted with them.
We repeat that if the depreciation of the currency is going to continue, then there should be a strategy also for the trading community to have some kind of respite. So we will plead with you if we can peg the dollar for the purposes of duty payment for maybe 1 month, because it's not our fault that the currency is depreciating. If care is not taken, what we are going to think is that government deliberately let the currency depreciate, so that when we pay more duty, you get more. Yes, that's the layman's way of thinking, and we think that because first we knew that there was a deliberate policy of devaluation. So then, is it a modern way of devaluation, so that we pay more? We pay when we pay the duty and we change in more cedis. Government that's the assumption, and then justifiably so, somebody will be taking that is saying the right thing. So if we can peg the dollar monthly for the purposes of duty payment, then it will also help us.
Microfinance institutions have over the years been drifting away from their core mandate of extending credit to small-scale business operators. Now, there are concerns that these financial institutions are now straying into the functions reserved for traditional banks and playing roles that these banks should play. Joy Business's Philip Namfori explains some of the reasons behind this mission drift.
Today we look at the concept of mission drift, as I've put on the board here. And you may ask yourself, what is mission drift? Microfinance institutions in the country are supposed to provide financial services to the poor end, to the low-income end of the Ghanaian economy. So essentially serving poor people in the Ghanaian economy. Now, there have been some reports that a majority or a plethora of microfinance institutions are moving away from their core mandate, which is the provision of financial services to the poor. Now you ask yourself, who is in charge of microfinance institutions in the country? It's the central bank, the Bank of Ghana. They are vested with the authority to ensure that this pro-poor intervention, that is microfinance, is actually stuck to by these institutions. So now we ask ourselves, how then can we ensure that these microfinance institutions stick to their core mandate of helping the poor people by providing financial service to them? And academic literature has shown that, yes, indeed, provision of financial services can help lift people out of poverty. You may ask yourself, that what are some of the reasons why microfinance institutions may move away from serving the poor end of the market? And it goes back to one key reason, the profit motive. Ask yourself, why should I lend to these sectors of the economy or to these poor people which have high risks? As financial literature, as academic literature has shown us, that these people have high risks.
All right, you're still watching Business Live. That taking us to our interview of the day, and President of the Ghana South Africa Business Chamber, Ashley Rhys, has urged government to focus on boosting manufacturing in order to tackle the current trade imbalance between Ghana and South Africa. Trade and investments between both countries have grown over the years, but there appears to be more activity from South Africa to Ghana. Mr. Rhys says Ghana must start producing more.
I think, as far as sort of trade imbalances go, if you need to increase your exports across the board, stop importing, start producing more in the country, increase your manufacturing. That is key. The one factory, one district that the government has now sort of implemented, that seems to be working, seems to be going strong. It's still relatively in its infancy, but we see a lot of positive coming from that. And I think to try and attract not just that, but also to try and attract foreign manufacturers to come and set up here, make it conducive, that they can come set up their manufacturing plants in Ghana, manufacture the raw products, and then export. And I think that's key if you want to start having a look at the imbalance, the trade imbalance between South Africa and Ghana. Ghana has to start producing more finished products for export.
All right, so that was our interview of the day. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. There you see the website. Our top story, all global currencies will become cryptocurrencies. That's according to CEO of Circle. Economists downplays negative effect of bank measures on financial inclusion. Also, Cocoa Board committing to promoting sustainable cocoa farming. And we've got an important update on that website. If you just scroll up, Roshi Mortman, CEO of Airtel Tigo, quitting. You want to read more about that on our website, plus all the day's latest in videos, just in case you missed out on any of our bulletins. Okay, so you heard me talk about the resignation of Airtel Tigo's CEO. Well, barely a year after being appointed as Chief Executive Officer of Airtel Tigo, after their merger, Joy Business can confirm that Roshi Mortman has resigned from the second largest telecom operator in the country. Joy Business understands that Roshi Mortman is leaving the company, having worked with the then Tigo for 4 years and almost a year with the combined entity. Her resignation comes barely a week, as we pointed out, after the chief human resource manager of the company left. Now, for more on this, we'll be bringing you that on JoyNews Prime when my colleague Emmanuel Abwajiri comes your way with the business segment. That'll be it for tonight's edition of Business Live. Thanks for watching. My name is Daryl Kwao. We are back same time tomorrow.